Xena Communications brings you this segment of the Sports Narrative radio show, offering customizable network cameras with installation for residential and commercial properties in the greater DFW area. Call or click today to set up your free consultation.
We're standing exceptionally still on the center camera. It's amazing.
That's because it doesn't work.
No, it's not working?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Because he sent that.
I hope you're joking.
Yeah, he sent that sign up a few while.
So let's have fun with it, man. I mean,
I was. Every time Darren talks, I put up the frozen picture, like you told me to.
It's awesome. Hey, at least it's better than not having anything, I guess.
Exactly. See, there it is, ladies and gentlemen.
Frozen in time.
There's a little Frozen with his OU hat on. And he's now got his Dallas hat on.
He does have his Cowboys hat on. He has changed. Well, let me start with you then, Mr. Snopes. The Greg Hardy signing, does it make you hesitate to wear your Cowboys hat?
It doesn't make me hesitate. It's not up to what I decide. It's all up to the upper ownership, whatever they want to do. I'm still going to be a Cowboys fan. Am I going to be happy about it? No. If they win, yes. But it's
that's the big thing.
I know everyone's going to say that, but I have no control over it. I'm a Cowboy fan.
Of course.
I will root no matter what because that is my team.
Hey, you know what? The Chicago Bears signed a guy yesterday.
Ray McDonald.
Who is accused not of just domestic assault, but also sexual assault. And I don't see the world exploding about how. And they're like, oh, the story is, well, we had to contact the owner to make sure he was okay with it. And apparently, when the Cowboys contact the owner and he says he's okay with it, it's the end of the freaking NFL.
It's because they did it first, and then the Bears could blow it by.
And they can come in and go, oh, we Ryan McDonald.
Yep.
Same damn thing.
Oh, you're
I'm
right.
Sorry.
Okay, here's the thing. So as obviously we talked about the Greg Hardy thing last week in a show that apparently no one will hear. Maybe we'll get clips.
We're efforting.
Yeah,
we're working on it.
We're efforting to salvage that audio. Okay, so right after our show, though, that night I believe was the infamous Dale Hansen rant.
Yep.
For those of you who are not in the Dallas market, although you probably know
it went viral.
I was going to say, he's on Ellen, so everybody knows who Dale
He always goes viral when he goes this big of a stance.
Okay, but this is my problem here, is because, to me, this was trying to grandstand to be on TV. This was over the top. And
I agree.
I just thought, I thought it was, there's somewhat of poor taste. You're bringing in elements of this thing where, he's never met the guy. He doesn't know him. And granted, I know the things that have happened are reprehensible, and if they're allegedly again, but at the same time, it's like the Ray Rice thing. We argued the same thing, Mr. Copening, that you were talking about how this guy was awful, and I said, yeah, but he wasn't convicted of anything.
Well, again, it's the act that was caught on camera with Ray Rice,
and
was
the only
awful.
difference.
He was indicted by the video.
For me, it's not the only difference.
It would be.
No, honestly, it's.
I guarantee you, if there was a picture of Greg Hardy knocking a woman into a couch of guns, you would be outraged.
No, I wouldn't, because I came out and said during the Ray Rice incident that, listen, the guy needs to be suspended. He needs to serve his punishment, and once he's served that punishment, then he deserves a second chance. It's the same thing with Greg Hardy. It's the same thing with Ray McDonald. We are a society that gives people second chances, third chances, fourth chances sometimes. It can be nauseating. But, again, it's the thing of, well, it's a privilege to play in the NFL. Since when? Since when has the NFL ever been a privilege to play in? We've had guys who've killed people in drunk driving accidents who've gone on to play. We've had incidents in the 90s, the 80s, the 70s. We have had these things that have gone out there. There's a great article Tim Kalishaw put out over the weekend saying, listen, go back to the history of the Cowboys and you tell me that this is something that's just horrible and atrocious. There is nothing in the NFL bylaws that says you cannot play football if you do this. The only sport I know of that says you can't play in this sport if you do this is baseball when it's gambling on a game that you're a participant in. That's
Pete
it.
Rose.
Pete Rose? Right.
Pete Rose. No, actually, thank the Black Sox. That was 1918 Black Sox. That was the team that did it. So
Racist.
Again, this whole thing of, well, it's amazing and this guy shouldn't be. No, I mean, again, name me the job that the law in this country that says if you commit a crime, you can no longer be employed. It's just, this is,
okay.
He has a skill, He's incredible at getting to the
and
quarterback.
it could be only one skill he has.
And you know what? He can still do it. Ray Rice would be playing in this league today if he didn't.
If he wasn't a 31-year-old running back.
No. Exactly.
If he was 27, he
so
probably
again,
would
let's
be
not
big.
try and get this. And it's the thing that's been twisted into this. Well, it's about
if he was
morality
on
and everything.
camera, maybe.
Okay, but here's it, and this is where, and I think the Cowboys basically were saying your point too. They send out Charlotte Jones Anderson, Jerry's daughter, basically in direct response to the Dale Hansen rant. She goes, I think, too far the other direction.
Yep.
Saying that we're
This
trying
is
to
about
protect the
redemption.
victims because if we give him structure, maybe he won't victimize people anymore. And you're kind of admitting guilt. Easy.
Could we just get Jason Garrett to talk for this franchise?
Actually, he
can't.
did. And again, Garrett came out and had the controversial stance that the Cowboys are against domestic violence.
Yeah, of course.
They wanted to get that on the record. They wanted to make sure that everybody knew.
But Garrett is for winning, though. So
well, and that's the thing. And so then Jerry, amazingly, Jerry's the voice of reason on this because he basically said, "Look, this guy's a hell of a pass rusher. We needed one. I know there's bad red flags, and you can't check every box." Is the quote that Jerry Jones had. So look at you, Mr. Feldman.
We got it back.
How about
Ooh,
that?
ooh, ooh.
He is our technical wizard.
This is just, again, Garrett coming out and saying, because he was put on the spot by Dale Hansen, saying that, you talked about the fact that you wanted good guys in your organization, and now...
Right.
And your dad came out and said that, it's not a Boy Scouts and blah, 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 whatever the case may be.
But he was put on the spot.
Yes. He came out and said, this is his quote, at any point, if we don't... This is talking about that Hardy's contract and what he told him. At any point, if we don't feel like you're doing what we want you to do as a player and as a person, we can move on from you without any salary cap consequences. All those things are very important to us. We want to evaluate anybody we bring into our organization as a person and as a player, so we'll go through that process. Certainly, we're trying to build the best football team we can, and talent matters. The best players are typically the most talented players, but I'll make an argument that the best players also have the right kind of intangibles, the right kind of character. It's our job to bring the best out in all these guys as players and as people. I think everyone understands we're trying to build the right kind of football team with the talent, with also who they are. It's our job to create the environment, and it's the player's job to respond, and it's our job to hold the player accountable.
Statman.
Okay.
Quotes. New name.
Here's the thing, Mr. Copening, and let's put a wrap on this because basically, eventually, it's only going to matter what happens on the field.
Sure.
And I have the answer for this in just a moment, that I'm going to get to. But let me put this out there. Let's say, and there's a decent chance that this happens. Let's say that Aaron Hernandez gets found not guilty, and next season, Jason Witten retires. You sign him? Good with that? The Cowboys bringing on Aaron Hernandez? Talented. Help you win.
It's too much evidence. Too much.
What's the difference?
Well,
if you're okay with it in Greg Hardy,
one thing,
and he's not guilty.
But he's not convicted of murder.
Ray Lewis was.
His was
no, he was not. No, his was obstruction of justice.
But
and not convicted of murder. He's not
what's
accused
the difference
of
there?
murder.
If we're good with Greg Hardy and
there's a
saying
big difference between murder and domestic violence, is there not?
Yeah, it depends on where she falls.
Apparently, there's not a big.
Hey, that's
Thank
a bit
you.
much.
Really?
No,
really?
Like he's
am I not right?
You think
if she falls and breaks her head and then dies?
He's not playing in the NFL.
Thank you.
No, he's not playing in the NFL if that's the case.
Wait, really?
Okay, well then.
Wait.
Okay, well then. Let's talk. No. Let's talk.
Second chance.
Let's talk
about everybody back in.
Let's talk about legality then.
Dante Stallworth.
If I push someone into a wall and they don't die, I should be tried for murder, even though they didn't die. Of course, the result is different.
No, but I'm just saying he got. If he's found innocent,
matter. Yes,
if he's found innocent.
If he pulled a gun on her and started pulling the trigger, it would be a big different story than what happened. This is not black and white. This is not black and white.
Why is it always got to be about race?
Well, again, there's a difference with a guy who has been questioned in the death of 3 people versus what Greg Hardy has been in, and even with again, the whole Ray
But
McDonald
this guy is
thing.
not.
Wait, who got questioned in the death of 3 people?
Aaron Hernandez.
that's the thing, and we talked about this. There's a chance that he's found not guilty.
I will say this now. For me personally, I'd feel pretty bad about that. However, if he is acquitted and the other charges are dropped, and the NFL says he's eligible to play,
and he can play good
if he
football,
becomes a Jet, are you going to quit being a fan of the Jets? Are you going to move on to your next team?
Stop being a Cowboy.
And then what when that team employs another guy who you say?
Maybe I'll stop football
and that's the
altogether.
thing. When you have the grand moral stances, you're always going to be
okay. And I'm going to get to that.
And that vote for domestic violence was brought to you by Dustin Stats Copening. Thank you very much, Mr. Bowers. To you.
Okay. Let me say here. Okay, a few weeks ago, or actually last week, I solved baseball. Right, Mr. Feldman?
You did. You solved all of it.
Solved all the problems of baseball. Yeah, not that baseball. I solved baseball by saying get rid of the radar gun. I am now going to solve the NFL's problems.
Thank God.
Finally.
Here's how you
ban
do it.
everyone.
Here's how you do it. No. Exact opposite. So I thought a lot about this with this Greg Hardy signing, and the idea of I had to go back to my values and the way that I view life. And for those of you who don't know me well enough or whatever, I'm from Texas. I'm pretty libertarian. I'm pretty much let everybody just do whatever they want. It's fine to a certain extent. As long as you're not violating somebody else's rights, go do whatever you want. I don't care. So this is where I fall on this. Let's fall back on libertarian ideas. I'm the NFL. I say, you know what? I'm Roger Goodell, or his successor, which would probably be me, steps forward and I say, the NFL is out of the business of legislating morality. Out of the business. Here's what we do. Every year at the owners' meetings, when it comes time, we all meet and it's the new league year and everybody gets together and we have the meetings, which, by the way, are happening right now. More on that in just a second. We're going to have a tote board. And all the players that you had arrested, all the players that caused the NFL shield harm in whatever way I deem possible, I penalize the team. You lose draft picks. You lose salary cap money. I penalize the team on the field. And I say to that team, if you employ these guys, you want to sign Ray McDonald, you want to sign Greg Hardy, go for it. If something happens, you're going to lose $20 million on the cap. You're going to lose draft picks for however strong I deem it necessary. I do it once a year. I have the one tote board. If you have guys that get arrested throughout the year, all it just goes on the ledger. You have 12 DWIs on your team. Well, when we hit April 1st or March 13th or whenever the new league year starts, all of those ledgers, well, you just lost 3 7th-round picks.
Do you know why this is going to work? Because this sounds like a very Roger Goodell-esque idea.
Thanks.
So I think it'd fit right in.
Well, it's exactly because every Roger Goodell issue when it's come to discipline is stood up in the courts. Oh, wait, no, most of them don't.
This is the thing. This is not a court issue. I don't care if the guy's found guilty.
It is a court issue because there are labor laws in the United States of America.
This is about the teams, and this is not about the players. I don't care if you suspend the players. Now, here's the thing. If you have a guy who has a DWI and you suspend him and you come to me when it's time for the reckoning, as it were, and you say, hey, the guy got this punishment, we suspended him as a team for this thing, then I'll say, okay, cool. Then you'll be okay on that.
I think the only problem you run into there is then...
But you put it on the team.
Teams are not going to suspend anyone, though.
Then they will lose draft picks salary cap money.
And what happens is the teams then refuse to employ people, and in the United States of America, we do not penalize people for their past crimes when they have paid the price.
Okay. Unless you have a felony.
Okay, a felony. Does Greg Hardy have a felony?
No.
Here's the thing.
Does Ray McDonald have a felony?
You can't get any job. Like, if a person has a DWI on their record, guess what? They can't become a UPS driver.
Okay, but that's okay, but
because that's directly related to what you're doing.
So what about beating a woman? As bad as this sounds, what about beating a woman?
Defamation of the shield.
What about beating a woman has to do with your skill on the football field?
Defamation of the shield.
What about driving drunk has to do with your skill on the
field?
football field?
Hold on. The shield. You are a public person if you work for the NFL.
Stop for a second, because here's the deal. I know that this can work, and it's because I used to work at a very large bank, which we won't name the name of that horrible place.
Okay.
Who?
Nothing. Keep going. Thanks, Mick.
Okay.
They monitor what you can do on social media.
Yeah.
They monitor whether or not you are even allowed to mention that you work for them.
If you have a bankruptcy, you can't work for a bank.
I don't know that, but
I
know that they control what you do outside of work.
The reason why that is because you're controlling other people's money. Again, legally you have to have a reason. Again, because listen, I'm not saying I want guys who are criminals and bad people playing football.
No, you're right,
but you legally have to have a stance to block these people from playing in the game,
however,
because it all goes to the court system.
If Mr. Feltman is working for said bank, and Mr. Feltman is in a very public trial, like Jody Arias.
Jack Kevorkian.
If he's Jody Arias and he kills his boyfriend by stabbing him and shooting him and whatever, guess what? That bank's going to fire him, and you know why? Because it brings defamation to the bank. And you know what?
That's actually
completely justified in doing it.
Even if I'm not found guilty.
Defamation.
Only if they find out that he works for the bank.
Thank you.
Wait a minute.
And
what about
guess
Aaron
what?
Hernandez?
Because
he hasn't been convicted of a felony
now
yet.
That's
He's not allowed to work.
Now that's become public.
Well, he's in jail.
And if you are a public person and you bring defamation to the league can say you don't. And that's the thing. Here's the ultimate thing. The league's not saying it. The league's saying you can hire whoever you want. You're the leagues. You're all independent contractors. But if you do, and it brings defamation to our brand, we're going to punish you.
Find more by subscribing to this channel and visiting us at www.thesportsnarrative.com. Join us every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Central for a live edition of the Sports Narrative Radio Show hosted by Xena Communications.